Chapter 883 How Dare You Trick Me? 1. Ling Yan closed his eyes. There was a karmic imprint which he left on Yi Qingtang's karmic natal chart. That was sufficient to prove that Yi Qingtang's rebirth was completely his doing. However, Ling Yan still had not figured out why he wanted to let Yi Qingtang be reborn. Because he did not have any memories from his previous lifetime, he could only work through the weak information slowly. A long time later, a faint smile broke out on his almost flawless face, and he took out a voice transmission stone from somewhere. "Miss Yi," Ling Yan said with a smile. Very quickly, Yi Qingtang's voice sounded from Ling Yan's voice transmission stone. "What is it?" "There's nothing. It's just that I haven't heard your voice for a long time and am missing it," replied Ling Yan. There was silence in the spirit stone. A long while later, Yi Qingtang's voice gradually sounded. "We have only met each other for a few days, but you're missing my voice already. If I can meet Miss Yi, that will naturally be the best," Ling Yan said. "Where are you?" "I happen to have something to ask you," Yi Qingtang replied. "If you wish to meet me, you just need to ask Master Du to lead the way." The smile remained hanging on his lips. Before Ling Yan could continue speaking, Yi Qingtang had already switched off the voice transmission stone. At this instant, Ling Yan was playing with a blue stone which exuded a wintry aura, and his entire body was enveloped in the wintry aura. This blue stone was formed by the dragon bone of the true dragon. To obtain the inheritance of the true dragon, one had to be guided by this item. Otherwise, it was not realistic to find the true dragon's inheritance in a short time. However, at the same time, an elderly's eyes were burning after sensing this blue stone from midair. Yet, he automatically shuddered when he noticed Ling Yan's face. How hateful! This treasure actually fell in his hands. The elderly gritted his teeth. There was a youth who followed behind the elderly. "Master, he is merely martial trash. Let's just snatch it." "Snatch?" The elderly scoffed. "Disciple, do you know who that man is?" "I don't," the youth shook his head. "Eternal Dynasty's third prince, Ling Yan," the elderly said. A shiver ran down the youth's spine immediately when he heard the elderly, and he hurriedly said, "Master, let's leave quickly. I heard that even an arcane supremacy at his peak was toyed to death by Ling Yan." Humph. Ling Yan is alone but dares to hold the dragon bone so openly. He must have made full preparations. "Forget it, let's go." While the elderly was not resigned to take it lying down, he did not dare to really strike and snatch it either. Some time after the elderly brought the youth away, another figure appeared there again. The person had above-average looks, and there was an indifferent expression on her face. If Yi Qingtang was here, she would definitely be able to tell that this person was none other than Yi Yu with a look. The bone of the true dragon. Yi Yu looked at Ling Yan below and saw the blue stone in his hand. It had already been some time since Yi Yu arrived in this dragon vein. She originally wanted to search for the inheritance of the true dragon and divine phoenix, but there was no progress at all until now. She was attracted over by the wintry aura at this place. If she could obtain the bone of the true dragon, she would be able to locate the inheritance of the true dragon in the shortest time. Almost without hesitation, Yi Yu gradually descended and was already standing beside Ling Yan a few breaths later. Chapter 884 How Dare You Trick Me? 2. In no time, Yi Yu slowly landed beside Ling Yan. Her eyes were extremely cold as she sized up the bone of the true dragon in Ling Yan's hand. At this instant, Ling Yan looked at Yi Yu expressionlessly as he sat cross-legged on the ground. "Do you wish to live or die?" Yi Yu threw the question coldly. However, Ling Yan smiled faintly after hearing Yi Yu. His lips curled up slightly, forming a devilishly charming smile. "May I know what enmity you and I have? This is our first meeting, but you're asking about my life or death." "I don't know who you are," but I recognize the bone of the true dragon in your hand, Yi Yu said coldly. Oh. Ling Yan immediately raised the bone of the true dragon. You're talking about this. Hand it to me, and I can spare your life, Yi Yu said. Once she obtained the bone of the true dragon, she could follow the wintry yin aura on the bone of the true dragon and find the inheritance in this dragon vein, so this stone is called the bone of the true dragon, Ling Yan smiled. Since you like this stone, you can have it then. Then, Ling Yan tossed the bone of the true dragon to Yi Yu instantly without hesitation. Once the bone of the true dragon was in her hand, she felt a penetrative wintry yin aura that was extremely chilly, making it seem as though she had fallen into an ice cave. It indeed is the bone of the true dragon, Yi Yu muttered as she inspected the blue stone in her hand. However, she was increasingly confused. The man before her clearly knew that this item was the bone of the true dragon. Why would he still give it to her so easily, such that there was not a slight change in the expression in his eyes? You have already gotten what you want. Why are you still here? Could it be that you still want to kill me? Ling Yan asked. You are very sensible. Yi Yu studied Ling Yan, and it was then she realized that this man was extraordinarily good-looking. He was seated on the floor and seemed as though he had walked out of a painting. It was a pity that his martial cultivation was a sorry sight, as he was only at the martial chi level 3 3rd heaven realm. Ever since Yi Yu was acknowledged by the Jiangs of the central mainland, she headed to the central mainland where the Jiang family was in, and her martial cultivation base had long advanced. Currently, even an ordinary yin-yang perfected lord was nothing to Yi Yu, much less someone who was at martial chi level 3 3rd heaven. Swoosh! In the next second, Yi Yu's figure ascended into the sky and disappeared without a trace in an instant. Secretly, she hid in the cloud layers. After Yi Yu completely disappeared, Ling Yan stood up slowly as his eyes mindlessly glanced at the sky. An unknowing smile was hung on his lips as he walked towards a cave, not too quickly nor slowly. About a few breaths later, Ling Yan finally entered the cave. There was a spring in this massive cave, and in the spring visibly laid a fiery red long feather. The long feather was about the length of an arm and exuded an extremely hot aura. This searing aura was completely covered by the spring, and there was simply no way for others to sense it. Ling Yan took a few steps forward and stretched his hand into the spring, wanting to retrieve the fire feather. However, a figure arrived swiftly. Before Ling Yan could make a move, the figure had already taken the fire feather out from the spring. Yi Yu looked at the fire feather in her hands and said coldly, "No wonder you were still so calm and composed even after handing the bone of the true dragon out. It turns out that you still have the feather of the divine phoenix." Ha! Miss, have you heard that if one is too greedy, there will definitely not be any good outcome? Ling Yan looked at Yi Yu with an inexplicable smile. Chapter 885 How Dare You Trick Me? 3. A glint flashed across Yi Yu's eyes when she heard Ling Yan. Presently, the bone of the true dragon and the feather of the divine phoenix had all fallen into her hands. The bone of the true dragon represented the wintry yin aura, while the feather of the divine phoenix possessed the wintry yang aura, with both corresponding to the inheritance of the true dragon and the divine phoenix respectively. Now that she had obtained the feather of the divine phoenix and the bone of the true dragon, the inheritance of the true dragon and the divine phoenix would also be hers. Then, apart from the inheritance of the heavenly demon which she had already obtained, she would be able to gather all three great inheritances and could become a true domain monarch of the first domain, just like her grandfather said. "You have too many words." Yi Yu glared at Ling Yan, and a murderous intent arose instantly. However, before Yi Yu could do anything, Ling Yan slowly walked to the spring with his hands behind him as though he was taking a casual stroll in his courtyard. "Calm down, miss," Ling Yan smiled faintly. "How about this? Let's play a game." "Game?" Yi Yu stared at Ling Yan. "Oh. What game do you wish to play?" This game is simple. Ling Yan replied slowly. I will use this feather of the divine phoenix and the bone of the true dragon to exchange for the inheritance of the heavenly demon you have obtained. How about that? Yi Yu's expression changed instantly after hearing what Ling Yan said. She did obtain the inheritance of the heavenly demon, but it had not even been a day since her feat. How could anyone else know about it? How do you know that I have the inheritance of the heavenly demon? As she spoke, a frightening murderous aura exuded around her. The consequences would be dire if others knew about this. No matter what, this person had toady. Miss, I don't only know that you possess the inheritance of the heavenly demon. If I guessed correctly, you should be a descendant of the Jiang clan, Ling Yan said with a smile. You? Who exactly are you? Yi Yu's voice was extremely cold. Who I am is not important. Ling Yan shook his head and continued. You only have 2 routes today. The first is to leave the inheritance of the heavenly demon behind. However, I'm afraid you don't wish to know what the second route is. I am curious what kind of route is the so-called second route. Yi Yu stared at Ling Yan. In her eyes, this man was already a dead person. It is death. Ling Yan smiled. You have a death wish. Yi Yu hollered angrily. With the flick of her wrist, she immediately slammed a palm down at Ling Yan. Yi Yu believed that given her cultivation realm, this man, who was only at martial chi level 3 3rd heaven, would be crushed by her hit. However, at this instant, a figure flashed by and stood before Ling Yan in an instant. Yi Yu. Yi Qingtang just rushed over but saw someone wanting to kill Ling Yan. When she took a clear look of the attacker, she was taken aback that it was actually Yi Yu. However, before Yi Yu could react, a frightening roar erupted from both the bone of the true dragon and the feather of the divine phoenix in her hands at the same time. In the next second, before Yi Qingtang's surprised eyes, the left side of Yi Yu's body was burning with raging flames while the right side of her body was covered in frost. At the same time, Yi Yu's miserable cry reverberated in the cave. Ling Yan, what is going on? Yi Qingtang looked at Ling Yan immediately. Upon hearing that, Ling Yan flashed a faint smile. Miss Yi, isn't it very nice to watch the show here? What? What is happening? Pain filled Yi Yu's face as she stimulated the primordial qi in her body. Nevertheless, the flames and frost on her body did not reduce at all. Miss, I clearly told you just now that from ancient times till now, almost all greedy people do not have any good outcome, but you did not listen. Ling Yan's lips were tugged up slightly. Chapter 886 How dare you trick me? 4. At this very moment, Yi Yu was bearing an extreme pain and did not have the energy to bother with Yi Qingtang's arrival. You tampered with the dragon bone and phoenix feather. Yi Yu glared at Ling Yan with gritted teeth. However, Ling Yan shook his head with a smile. Given your cultivation realm, with one look, you would be able to tell if I really had tampered with the bone of the true dragon and the feather of the divine phoenix. Yi Yu did not retort to whatever Ling Yan said as it was indeed so. If the 2 treasures were really tampered with, it was impossible for her to not be able to see it given her skills. But if they were not tampered with, what was it then? Miss, you're unaware that in the war between the true dragon, divine phoenix, and the heavenly demon back then, all 3 parties harbored a grudge. The true dragon and divine phoenix were originally in love but were hunted down for their lives by the heavenly demon. Since you obtained the inheritance of the heavenly demon, there is the aura of the heavenly demon on your body. The bone of the true dragon and the feather of the divine phoenix are mortal enemies with it. How would they spare you? Ling Yan smiled. After hearing Ling Yan's explanation, Yi Yu lifted an arm with difficulty and pointed at Ling Yan. You schemed against me. Schemed against you. Ling Yan had a baffled expression. What do you mean by that, miss? It's you who wanted to snatch my bone of the true dragon and then snatch my feather of the divine phoenix. I did not ask you to snatch them. Ling Yan spoke slowly. Enchanting looked gazed at Ling Yan. Although she did know what happened, Ling Yan definitely schemed against Yu. These two items are divine items. Your body is now covered with the frost of the true dragon and the flame of the divine phoenix. If you're unwilling to give up the inheritance of the heavenly demon, you will definitely die today, Ling Yan added on smilingly. Do you wish to live, or die? Yu clenched her fists tightly. This person actually returned what she said to herself. Currently, Yu was aware of how frightening the frost of the true dragon and the flame of the divine phoenix were. If she did not give up the inheritance of the heavenly demon as he said, she would lose her life today. To protect her life, Yu did not have any other option and could only spit out a pitch-black pearl. A demon aura lingered around that black pearl, and that was the essence which condensed after the heavenly demon died. In order to locate the inheritance of the heavenly demon, she exhausted countless dharmic treasures which her grandfather gave her, and she almost lost her life to obtain the inheritance. Yet, she became a cat's paw for someone else now. You still need to leave the bone of the true dragon and the feather of the divine phoenix behind in order for the misery to dissipate. Ling Yan reminded with a smile. Almost without hesitation, Yu threw the two treasures on the ground according to Ling Yan. At this instant, Ling Yan raised his hand and took away the heavenly demon pearl, bone of the true dragon, and feather of the divine phoenix. A few breaths later, the frost and flame on Yu's body finally faded gradually. Yu panted heavily. Her expression was extremely dark. Enchanting. It's you. Who schemed against me with him? Yu said coldly after seeing Enchanting, who was beside Ling Yan. I am not involved in scheming against you. However, it's time we settled our enmity today. As Enchanting spoke, she unsheathed her sword sharply. Yu was heavily injured presently, and Enchanting would not pass this chance. However, before Enchanting could strike, Ling Yan grabbed her hand and pulled her back. Taking this chance, Yu used whatever last energy she had and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 887 How to Thank Seeing that Yu fled away, Enchanting wanted to chase after her, but Ling Yan grabbed Enchanting's hand firmly and did not give her the chance to go after Yu. Ling Yan. Enchanting's brows were tightly furrowed immediately. Have you held enough? If you don't mind, I can hold on a little longer. Ling Yan chuckled. You. Enchanting was speechless for a moment. This Ling Yan's brain has issues, doesn't it? What the hell is he saying? Seeing that Enchanting was about to flare up, Ling Yan released his grip sensibly. In the next second, Enchanting rushed out of the cave, but Yu had already vanished without a trace. In no time, Enchanting returned to the cave again and looked at Ling Yan. She and I have a blood feud. Ling Yan smiled in response. Miss Yi, I am not clear about that. How about you tell me about it? Do you wish to hear? Enchanting fixed her eyes on Ling Yan. Ling Yan replied. I am extremely interested in everything about you. If you don't mind, you can tell me about all major and trivial matters. Why is this person, however, Enchanting recounted her grudge with Yu to Ling Yan thoroughly. After hearing about the relationship and enmity between the two, Ling Yan laughed and told Enchanting. Miss Yi. In this case, you need to be responsible for me. Both of you share the same surname Yi, and I was almost killed by her. For a moment, Enchanting did not have any words to reply. When did Ling Yan's skin become so thick? Since she almost killed you, you can find her and ask her to be responsible. It so happens that you let her go too, Enchanting said. However, Ling Yan shook his head. How can she be compared to you, Miss Yi? Not waiting for Yi Qingtang to reply, Ling Yan laughed and said, forget it. Even if you have a huge grudge against her, it is not a wise action to attack her now. Oh. Yi Qingtang examined Ling Yan. Why? This person is the granddaughter of the Jiang clan's grand elder, Jiang Duantian. Jiang Duantian is the current domain monarch and has many means. From my observation, if a murderous intent arose within you just now and you attacked her, you would definitely be counter-damaged by the Dharma treasure. Not only would she not die, but you would also be in an extremely dangerous situation instead. Ling Yan explained. Are you saying that Yi Yu has a life-protecting Dharma treasure on her? Yi Qingtang clarified. That's exactly what I'm saying. Ling Yan nodded and added on. The Dharma treasure on Yi Yu could even withstand a fatal blow from a divine arcane supremacy, and the counter-damage ability of the Dharma treasure could easily crush an ordinary arcane supremacy. If I did not stop you, I'm afraid you, Yi Qingtang frowned deeply after hearing Ling Yan. This was her miscalculation. She clearly knew that Yi Yu was already found by the Jiang clan. Now that she was sent to the dangerous dragon vein, how would there not be any life-protecting means? However, Yi Qingtang saw that Ling Yan schemed against Yi Yu previously. It seemed that with Ling Yan here, she actually lowered her guard a little. Thank you. A long while later, Yi Qingtang looked at Ling Yan and thanked him. There is still another way of thanking me. I have never liked verbal thank yous. Ling Yan looked at Yi Qingtang with a meaningful smile. Yi Qingtang's expression changed immediately. What cunning plot was Ling Yan thinking of exactly? Seeing that Yi Qingtang had a grim expression, Ling Yan spoke again. Forget it. If it's Miss Yi, a verbal thank you is acceptable as well. Chapter 888 A Cat's Paw for Others. Yi Qingtang could not be bothered to talk any more nonsense with Ling Yan, but she was curious about what exactly happened between Ling Yan and Yi Yu. Why would that Yi Yu was schemed against by Ling Yan out of nowhere? Earlier on, Yi Qingtang clearly heard that it was Yi Yu who came to snatch his treasure. You and Yi Yu, curiosity filled Yi Qingtang's face. Do you wish to know, Miss Yi? With a smile, Ling Yan sat on the ground cross-legged and glanced at the empty space in front of him. Then, Yi Qingtang walked to Ling Yan's side and sat on the ground as well. You should know that there are 3 great inheritances in this dragon vein. Apart from the inheritances of the true dragon and divine phoenix, there's also the inheritance of the heavenly demon. Ling Yan explained slowly. I am already aware of this, Yi Qingtang said. Ling Yan nodded. The inheritances of the true dragon and divine phoenix require the bone of the true dragon and the feather of the divine phoenix, while the inheritance of the heavenly demon can only be sensed by a bloodline of the Jiang clan. You are saying that, Yi Qingtang seemed to be in thought. The Jiang clan is the descendant of the heavenly demon, and they possess the heavenly demon bloodline. As such, they can sense the inheritance of the heavenly demon. Ling Yan continued. After hearing Ling Yan, Yi Qingtang suddenly recalled that Yi Yu indeed possessed the heavenly demon bloodline back then. Otherwise, how else could she climb up to the position of a paragon great empress so easily? Since the Jiang family possessed the heavenly demon bloodline, someone will definitely head here to search for the inheritance of the heavenly demon. If I wish to obtain the inheritance of the heavenly demon, would require a member from the Jiang clan, Ling Yan said. Yi Qingtang was a little confused. How do you know that the person coming to snatch your dragon bone and phoenix feather will definitely be from the Jiang family? This kind of treasure should be wanted by everyone. Ling Yan chuckled lightly. Because I have the dragon bone. The true dragon and divine phoenix warred against the heavenly demon and bore a deep grudge. If any of its descendants are in the vicinity, the dragon bone would react. Of course, if the incomer is not a descendant of the heavenly demon, I have a way of dealing with it. But it was Yi, so you did not need to use that method, Enchanting said. That's right. Ling Yan smiled. However, that Yi wanted to have all three inheritances for herself. I gave her the dragon bone, but she was not content and had to hide in the dark and follow me to find the phoenix feather. How do you know that Yi had already retrieved the inheritance of the heavenly demon then? Enchanting questioned again. Ling Yan gently shook the blue stone in his hand. This dragon bone can sense it as well. So that's why, Enchanting mumbled to herself. The dragon bone and the phoenix feather were gathered, and the possessor also obtained the inheritance of the heavenly demon. As such, the grudge of the two divine items was aroused. You only needed to guide Yi to spit out the inheritance of the heavenly demon from a side. Ling Yan, that's really a good scheme. However, if Yi was not so greedy and suspicious and left to search for the inheritance of the true dragon after obtaining your dragon bone, Enchanting voiced her confusion. However, Ling Yan smiled faintly upon hearing Enchanting. If that's the case, it wouldn't be bad either. Yi possesses the inheritance and bloodline of the heavenly demon. With the dragon bone, it would be much simpler for her to obtain the inheritance of the true dragon than we can. We can then let her clear all the threats in the inheritance of the true dragon, and be a cat's paw for us again. Isn't that very good? A moment later, Enchanting could not help but study Ling Yan. This man was really, everything went according to his calculations. Ever since Yi appeared and had the greed of snatching the dragon bone, she had already fallen into Ling Yan's trap. No matter whether Yi took the dragon bone and left in search of the inheritance of the dragon bone or secretly tailed Ling Yan to obtain the phoenix feather, her outcome was already determined. Regardless of what Yi did, she was a cat's paw for Ling Yan. No matter what this man did, it was all done with full preparations and numerous schemes. However, Enchanting never thought that Ling Yan would tell herself about all of his plans. Chapter 889 For Yu Enchanting looked at Ling Yan. Although this man did not have any martial skills and it looked like he could be easily crushed by any powerful martial figures, the truth was not so. He was an extremely dangerous presence. It was still alright if he was a friend, but once he was an enemy and he schemed against you, you would probably be hit by a destructive strike. Ling Yan, why would you tell me all of your plans? Looking at Ling Yan in confusion, Enchanting asked curiously. Ling Yan was stunned to hear her question and smiled faintly. Didn't you ask me just now? So. I asked you, and you told me just like that. Enchanting had a strange expression. Ling Yan shook his head with a chuckle. If others asked me, I wouldn't say a word, but it is different if it's Miss Yi. Me? Enchanting looked at Ling Yan and asked. How am I different? You are different in my heart. The corner of his lips tugged up as he looked at Enchanting with eyes filled with temptation and danger. She totally could not understand what crazy things Ling Yan was sputtering. In Enchanting's previous life, she spent almost her entire life being chased by others. She was extremely vigilant of the outside world every second, and the only thing she had in mind was martial cultivation. It was no exaggeration to call her a martial fanatic. This was so as only by becoming more powerful could she barely survive the schemes from the outside world. She seemed to have seen such a look from Ling Yan on other men, but his was a little different. Even Enchanting was unaware of why she did not loathe nor shun from him extremely. Nonetheless, even up to this day, Enchanting still could not comprehend what this exactly meant. If others looked at her like that, there would be a danger signal going off inside her. However, Ling Yan did not give her such feelings. For you. As he spoke, Ling Yan flipped his hand over and extended his right palm towards Enchanting, and he handed the heavenly demon pearl which Yi spat out earlier to Enchanting. Noticing the situation, Enchanting was filled with surprise and was even in disbelief. The heavenly demon pearl was one of the 3 great inheritances in the dragon vein, and many cultivators even lost their lives for it. One could imagine how precious this was. However, even so, at this very instant, Ling Yan wanted to give her the inheritance of the heavenly demon he schemed out from Yi Yu. Almost instinctively, Enchanting immediately shook her head. The inheritance of the heavenly demon was too valuable, and she must not accept it. Ling Yan chuckled lightly when he saw Enchanting's reaction. Miss Yi, this heavenly demon pearl originally belongs to Yi Yu. I only used a small scheme and took it from her. Moreover, Yi Yu once stole your spirit root. Thus, the inheritance of the heavenly demon is equivalent to Yi Yu's interest to you. It is yours since you stole it. How could I accept it? Enchanting asked with a frown. Oh. After hearing what Enchanting said, Ling Yan's lips tugged up slightly. So according to your logic, Yi Yu stole your spirit root, so it should belong to Yi Yu now. Enchanting had no words to refute this one sentence from Ling Yan. For some reason though, Enchanting had never lost almost any arguments in both her lives, but after meeting Ling Yan, she would always unknowingly be beaten to it every time she spoke to him. Chapter 890 Devote your life to me. Yi Yu stole Miss Ye's spirit root, but that spirit root does not belong to Yi Yu. I stole Yi Yu's heavenly demon pearl, and it should not belong to me either. No matter what, it is the equivalent of this heavenly demon pearl being Yi Yu's interest to Miss Yi. A faint smile hung on Ling Yan's lips. Before Enchanting could say anything, Ling Yan grabbed her hand lightly and placed the heavenly demon pearl in her palm before giving her any time to react. This heavenly demon pearl should belong to you. There's no need to decline. Enchanting looked at Ling Yan, astonished. Although Ling Yan put it that way, it was clear that whatever reasoning he gave was fallacious. Enchanting was not foolish and could tell that Ling Yan merely wanted to give her the heavenly demon pearl. Ling Yan, the heavenly demon pearl is really too valuable. There's nothing between us, Enchanting frowned deeply. Since that's the case, do you want to have something with me? Ling Yan's eyes were extremely bright and filled with charm as he looked at Enchanting. What thing? Enchanting asked instinctively. However, Ling Yan inched closer the moment she spoke, and their eyes locked onto each other. There was less than an inch between them, and they could even feel each other's heartbeat and breathing. Enchanting swore that she had never been so close to a man in either of her lives before. Just like that, the two of them looked at each other for a long time. Suddenly, Ling Yan stood up straight and pulled a distance away from Enchanting. Let's put it this way then, my martial skills are so terrible, and I can lose my life anytime. How about you stay by my side from now on? You want me to be your personal bodyguard? Enchanting asked. Ling Yan shook his head immediately. Apart from a personal bodyguard, there's another possibility between a male and a female. Without giving Enchanting a chance to speak, Ling Yan suddenly stood up and said, Miss Yi, you do not need to be so conflicted. The heavenly demon pearl is useless to me and is compatible with you instead. If you don't want it, you can settle it yourself. I just do not wish for this inheritance to land in the hands of one of the people of the Jiang bloodline. If you view me as a friend, you can accept it without worrying. Otherwise, you can settle it yourself. Destroying or throwing it away is all fine. How generous of you. Enchanting could not help but take a few looks at Ling Yan. Back then, she had the heart of the demon god and was being chased for her life for hundreds of years. Everyone coveted the heart of the demon god in her body and plotted all sorts of schemes. Others wanted to take her life in order to seize a precious treasure, but Ling Yan willingly gave the inheritance of the heavenly demon, a valuable treasure, to herself so easily. Thank you. A long while later, Enchanting said. I am unable to return your huge favor, unable to return my huge favor. Ling Yan walked to Yi Qingtang's side and slowly bent forward. The corner of his lips curled up slightly and formed a devilish charm. Since you are unable to return the favor, you can devote your life to me then. A few breaths later, Yi Qingtang finally returned to her senses and said, Devote my life to you. Ling Yan chuckled. How does devoting your life to me sound? You're saying, Yi Qingtang pondered deeply and said. For me to be your guard and protect your safety for my entire life. With a smile on his face, Ling Yan responded. If that is how you comprehend the meaning of devoting your life to me, so be it then. For Yi Qingtang, who was a complete blockhead at male-female relationships, how could she understand the meaning of devoting your life to me? Chapter 891 The Guide Sponsored Content The little white tiger probed its head and extended its ears outside the cave to look over into the cave. After a short while, the little azure dragon swaggered over and touched the little white tiger's head with its paw. Such a pity that you followed an idiot. Upon hearing the little azure dragon's words, the little white tiger turned back and stared at the little azure dragon. Fuck you, thank you for pitying me. But I also pity that you followed a useless person. The little white tiger sneered. Are you not convinced? I understand what does it mean by the promise of marriage, but she doesn't. Isn't she an idiot? The little azure dragon smiled and said. Pfft. You don't understand anything. She pretends that she does not understand the meaning so that others will feel anxious. This is called emotional intelligence, the little white tiger said. Sponsored content The little azure dragon's lips twitched upon hearing that. It finally understood the ability of saying nonsense from the little white tiger. Look at how ugly you are. No female dragon will fall in love with you. Stop trying to figure out what love is. You will never need it in your life. The little white tiger sat on the ground and stared at the little azure dragon and said. How dare you? I'm the top of the 4 fiend celestial beasts. How dare you humiliate me? The little azure dragon humphed. Pfft. The azure dragons are just slightly smarter. We are the best in fighting ability, the little white tiger said proudly. Yes, you are a brainless idiot, the little azure dragon said. The little white tiger wanted to scold back, but it realized that it was a total waste of time to quarrel with the azure dragon. Yeah, do you think your master really likes my master? The little white tiger asked. Sponsored content The little azure dragon looked at the little white tiger as if it was staring at an idiot. Based on Ling Yan's personality, how could he say something like marriage if he did not like her? But I'm curious, do you think that Han Sangming likes her? Han Sangming. He's very peculiar. He can only act according to his instincts and act with strong intentions. He stays beside Yi Qingtang in order to acquire the heart of the demon god. I always feel that he can do anything to retrieve the heart, even if it will cost Yi Qingtang's life, the little white tiger scoffed. The little azure dragon scoffed as well as it heard the little white tiger's words. Of course it's like that. Han Sangming did not have a soul or mind or feelings. He was only Ling Yan's body that acted based on his instincts. As a body, instinct could drive him to do anything. He could use all means to achieve his goal. Sponsored content However, the little azure dragon was curious about one thing. The body should have just retrieved the heart of the demon god from Yi Qingtang based on its instincts. He would not care about her death at all. Yet, Yi Qingtang was still alive now. Did anything happen to Yi Qingtang's heart? The little azure dragon looked at the little white tiger and asked. Yes, a life emerged out of the heart and wanted the two of them to be married, the little white tiger said. No wonder, the guide. I think it's the guide's credit that Yi Qingtang's heart was not taken away by him. That's why she's alive now. The little azure dragon smiled coldly. You know about the guide. Who told you about that? The little white tiger was shocked. I inferred that by myself, the little azure dragon said. Note, please download the sponsors game to support us. Chapter 892 The Conspiracy. I have to say that though you are arrogant, you're really intelligent. The little white tiger was shocked. Everything that it knew was heard from the elder, but the little azure dragon inferred everything on its own. In this world, only people like Ling Yan could really tame an azure dragon. So, it's real that Han Sangming is just a body. The little white tiger looked at the little azure dragon meaningfully. I'm quite sure about that. The little azure dragon nodded. Then maybe I can understand now. The little white tiger's face was very serious. If the Han Sangming now was just a body, he would not possess any feelings. However, Han Sangming treated Enchanting nicely, so the only possibility was that the power of karma was left on Enchanting's body by Ling Yan. Han Sangming, as part of Ling Yan, was able to sense the power. Since Han Sangming was part of Ling Yan, after sensing the power of karma, he would not do anything to harm her based on his instincts. It was the right thing for him to treat Enchanting nicely. Ling Yan. Even such things are part of your plan. The little white tiger looked over into the cave and murmured. However, the little azure dragon was concerned about Ling Yan's safety. The guide's mission was to unite Enchanting and the Han Sangming now. However, from one perspective, Ling Yan's plan was very successful. He tricked destiny, and even the guide could not recognize that Ling Yan was the real demon god Han Sangming. The guide's mission was to let Enchanting and the demon god go through the death calamity. However, Ling Yan was the real demon god now. If Enchanting and Han Sangming got married, Enchanting would be the only one who would go through the death calamity. She would experience millions of strikes until death. Can you infer the cause of the calamity since you're so smart? The little white tiger looked at the azure dragon and asked. The little azure dragon scoffed. Of course. They inherited the calamity from the heavenly emperor. Oh. Explain, the little white tiger said. Actually, you should know that Enchanting's heart is not the heart of the demon god. Ling Yan pulled his soul and heart out from his body and was reborn. The heart is in Ling Yan's body now, the little azure dragon explained. Yes, I know about that. The heart in Enchanting seems to be a death calamity that is related to the heavenly Tao and destiny, the little white tiger said. The little azure dragon nodded and said, actually it's very simple. When Ling Yan was reborn with his soul and heart, the body was heartless. However, someone put a heart into the body, and it is thought that that was his own heart. For some unknown reason, the heart went into Enchanting's body, and the body thought that Enchanting took away his heart. So, the heart is the biggest conspiracy and the death calamity. That's right. Even Enchanting thinks that her heart is the heart of the demon god. However, she doesn't know that the heart has nothing to do with the demon god. Everything is just part of a huge conspiracy. The person behind all of this may be the culprit who destroyed the fourth domain, the little white tiger said seriously. Chapter 893 The Heart of the Heavenly Tao. What did you know from the elder? The little azure dragon looked at the little white tiger and asked. The little white tiger contemplated for a while and said, in the primordial mortal world, there was a genius who was born in the first domain. The genius became the ultimate powerful person that no one could compare with. By coincidence, the heavenly Tao decided to find the new inheritor and pass on the inheritance of the heavenly Tao. I suppose that the genius successfully inherited that and became the new heavenly Tao. However, the inheritance of the heavenly Tao he got was not complete, and he came out with a strategy. He took out the heart of the heavenly Tao and tried to find a suitable body to nurture the heart. The heavenly emperor was the first body, and the demon god Han Xiaoming was the second. The little azure dragon smiled and said, however, based on Han Kangming's intelligence, he predicted that he would be the next body to nurture the heart through the interaction with the heavenly emperor. Thus, he left his body and became Ling Yan. That's right. The body had become the vessel for the heart of the heavenly Tao long ago. The body does not have a soul or mind, and it instinctively treats the heart of the heavenly Tao as his own heart. The little white tiger nodded and said. So, Enchanting is the third body for the heart of the heavenly Tao. The little azure dragon murmured. It should be the situation now. The guide is the consciousness of the heart of the heavenly Tao. It intends to unite the new body with the second body. The demon god will then facilitate Enchanting till she's powerful enough to nurture the heart of the heavenly Tao. When she's powerful enough, the person behind will then kill her and take back the heart of the heavenly Tao. The little azure dragon's eyes sparkled. I'm afraid so. And this is the reason why I totally oppose the guide and oppose Enchanting to unite with that body. However, I cannot tell her directly. The little white tiger nodded continuously and said. You're afraid that it will make the situation worse, the little azure dragon said. Yes, if the situation gets worse, the consequences will be unimaginable. It will be a death calamity that she cannot escape from. She has to discover that by herself. Furthermore, our assumptions may not be completely right, the little white tiger said. Bullshit. That's my assumption. You heard that from someone else. The little azure dragon stared at the little white tiger and said. Fuck you, I don't even need to use my brain. Someone will tell me everything, the little white tiger said arrogantly. Then let me ask you, what's the identity of the elder who told you everything? The little azure dragon asked. I'm not sure as well. I asked him before, but he said that it's a secret that could not be revealed. The little white tiger contemplated for a while and said. Then I'm curious, why would he just tell you about all these things? What are his intentions? The little azure dragon paused and then asked. No, it's impossible. I have known him for a long time. If he really had any intention, why would he even bother to tell me about all of this? Furthermore, he's very powerful. If he wanted to kill us, he doesn't need to plan anything. The little white tiger was very certain. That makes sense as well, the little azure dragon said. Oh right, doesn't Ling Yan want to take back the power from the body? The little white tiger was slightly curious. He will never do that. He refuses to admit his identity. Furthermore, if he takes back his power, the death calamity will definitely notice that. That's why he left his body in order to trick everyone. It's the demon god's style to hide in the dark and plan everything. The little azure dragon sighed and said. Chapter 890. For the beginning of the inheritance. At the same time in the cave, Ling Yan stood up slowly. He crushed the bone of the true dragon and the feather of the divine phoenix under Enchanting's surprised gaze. Ling Yan, do you want everyone to know about where the inheritance of the true dragon and the divine phoenix are? Enchanting asked. Smart. The paths to the inheritance of the divine phoenix and the true dragon are extremely dangerous. We should let the others clear the obstacles for us. Ling Yan turned around and smiled. Why are you so confident that you can get the inheritance of the divine phoenix and the true dragon? Enchanting frowned slightly and said. Where did his confidence come from? I only want the inheritance of the true dragon. As for the inheritance of the divine phoenix, that will be the second gift for you. Ling Yan smiled and said. You. Why are you so kind to me? Enchanting asked directly. Aren't you comfortable with it? You will get used to it soon. Ling Yan chuckled and gently touched Enchanting's glabella using his finger. I'm not confident that I will be able to get the inheritance of the divine phoenix. Yi Qingtang contemplated for a while and said. People who were able to fight for the inheritance of the divine phoenix at the Dragon Vein were all the most powerful people from the central mainland. They might risk their lives to fight for the inheritance of the divine phoenix. She had nothing to fight against those supremacy-level people. Don't worry about that, Miss Yi. I'm confident with everything I plan, Ling Yan said softly. Why are you confident when I'm not even confident with myself? Yi Qingtang felt awed and said. Of course. Both the inheritance of the true dragon and the divine phoenix are not comparable with normal inheritances. For example, the inheritance of the heavenly demon, if Yi did not have the bloodline of the heavenly demon, it'd be impossible for her to get that. It's the same for the other inheritances. The inheritances will choose their heir. Ling Yan nodded and said. You're saying that the inheritance of the divine phoenix will definitely choose me. Yi Qingtang understood what Ling Yan meant. I think the flame that you used to burn the diamond boulder is not something ordinary. Ling Yan smiled and said. Yi Qingtang understood what he was referring to instantly. Her paragon skill was related to the phoenix. The inheritance of the divine phoenix might choose her due to her paragon skill. After Ling Yan crushed the bone of the true dragon and the feather of the divine phoenix, the wintry yin aura and the wintry yang aura spread out in all directions. Soon, the powerful people from the central mainland all rushed to different directions. Miss Yi, we shall head to our own destinations. Please take care. Ling Yan folded his hands at the back after he finished his words. He walked out of the cave and headed towards the inheritance of the true dragon with the little azure dragon. Yi Qingtang headed towards the inheritance of the divine phoenix with the little white tiger. The place they were at was the deepest place of the Dragon Vein. Even the Peerless School and the Phantom Valley had not explored this place yet. The three finest forces had no knowledge about the deep part of the Dragon Vein. Somewhere in the forest after 2 days, fighting sounds and roars were heard from the place ahead. Yi Qingtang walked towards the origin of the sounds with the little white tiger. A few thousand meters away at the same time, Gu Tianhe and Feng Wudong stared at a young man in rage. The young man was slightly overweight. His martial ability was at the 4th heaven of the yin-yang perfected lord level. His face was filled with a cold smile. Feng Wuya, how dare you? How dare you to treat junior sisterly like that? Feng Wudong held his fists tightly and shouted in anger. Chapter 895 Take Advantage of Others. 1. The man who was called Feng Wuya produced a fake smile and said, That's her blessing. Feng Wuya. Gu Tianhe clenched his teeth and stared at Feng Wuya in rage. How he wished that he could tear him to pieces right now. Li Bingxue was on the same mission as them, and later, they encountered others from the Supreme Academy. Soon afterward, Li Bingxue left the group for some personal things. However, no one expected that she would meet Feng Wuya of the Divine Virtual Academy halfway. Feng Wuya was not just a normal disciple of the Divine Virtual Academy. He was the grandson of the Grand Elder, who belonged to the reclusive ancient Feng clan of the central mainland. The ancient Feng clan was highly ranked in the central mainland. Very few forces in the entire central mainland dared to provoke them, not mentioning the mediocre students of the normal academy. Among the reclusive clans, there were at least a few heavenly venerates that were above the arcane supremacy to preside over the clans. Their martial abilities were unpredictable. As the grandson of the Grand Elder, Feng Wuya's position in the ancient Feng clan was easy to predict. He was not willing to learn anything, but he was very arrogant and abusive in the Divine Virtual Academy due to his identity. No one dared to say anything to him. Gu Tianhe would never talk to such an arrogant heir under normal circumstances. However, no one expected that Li Bingxue would encounter Feng Wuya on her way. What was even more unimaginable that Feng Wuya had a wicked idea after noticing Li Bingshu's beauty. He raped her under violence and murdered her ruthlessly afterward. Junior brother Gu. The first man of the Supreme Academy shook his head seriously as he looked at Gu Tianhe. Senior brother Li Xiu. Feng Wuya is just a bastard. He raped junior sister Li and murdered her mercilessly. Feng Wuya clenched his fist and said. The veins on his forehead clearly showed his anger and resentment. Li Xiu's face was very serious, but he could not do anything if the person was just a normal disciple of the Divine Virtual Academy. They would definitely take revenge for Li Bingxue. However, Feng Wuya was not a normal person. Feng Wuya had the Feng clan's bloodline. If they hurt him today, everyone who was present would be dead in the near future. Even the entire Supreme Academy would not dare to provoke the Feng clan. They would use their lives to repay if they hurt him. They could not do anything to him. Feng Wuya sneered as he saw the reactions of the Supreme Academy students. He wandered towards Feng Wuya. Feng Wuya arrived in front of Feng Wudang in a few breaths' time. Disdain filled Feng Wuya's eyes as he raised his arm slowly. Pow! Feng Wuya raised his hand and slapped Feng Wudang's face. Feng Wudang glared at Feng Wuya and intended to say something. Pow! Before Feng Wudang could say another word, another slap landed on his face. Feng Wuya's face was expressionless, but his eyes were filled with scorn. How dare you clowns confront senior brother Feng here? Do you still want to be alive in this world? A few young disciples of the Divine Virtual Academy mocked the Supreme Academy disciples, who did not dare to talk or move. Chapter 896 Take Advantage of Others. 2. Feng Wuya had just entered the Divine Virtual Academy, and his martial ability was still very mediocre. However, even the strongest disciples in Divine Virtual Academy did not dare to offend him due to his identity as a member of the ancient Feng clan. Instead, they tried their best to flatter him. Feng Wuya was very lustful. He had offended most of the beautiful female students in the Divine Virtual Academy. However, no one dared to fight for themselves. There were even some female students who voluntarily looked for Feng Wuya based on his identity. The disciples of the Divine Virtual Academy were used to Feng Wuya's arrogance and aggressiveness. I'm going to kill you. Feng Wudang shouted in anger as he was slapped twice in the public by Feng Wuya. The veins on his forehead were getting more obvious. The leader of the Supreme Academy, Li Xiu, suddenly shouted. Junior brother Feng. Stop. Feng Wudang's attack stopped under Li Xiu's interruption. His eyes were red, and he stared at Feng Wuya, who had nothing to be fearful of. Feng Wudang understood the consequences he would face if he hit Feng Wuya without Li Xiu's reminder. If Feng Wuya was injured here, the ancient Feng clan would not let it go so easily. Not only him, but even Gu Tianhe and the rest of the people who were present would have to bear the consequences in the future. They would need to use their lives to repay. Little bastard. You have a death wish. Feng Wuya stared at Feng Wudang, who froze in sarcasm. He scoffed and punched Feng Wudang's face in the next second. Feng Wuya did not hold back. Blood flowed out from Feng Wudang's mouth under the punch. Feng Wudang wiped off the blood by his lips. He clenched his teeth and glared at Feng Wuya. However, he could not fight back, though the resentment in his heart was rising. Who do you think you are? Feng Wuya grabbed Feng Wudang's hair as he spoke and dragged him away with great strength. The people of the Divine Virtual Academy were all sneering when they witnessed the scene. In the past, when the students of the two academies met, there would always be some injuries due to small conflicts. However, the situation was different now. Feng Wuya's identity was incomparable to that of normal disciples of the Divine Virtual Academy. Li Bingxue, who was stronger than Feng Wuya, could only bear with Feng Hui's torture. In her case, Li Bingxue could not take Feng Hui's torture eventually and slapped him. Then, she was stranded by the disciples of the Divine Virtual Academy under Feng Hui's command. He murdered her mercilessly. Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that? Feng Hui dragged Feng Wudang's hair and pulled him to the side. He then stepped on Feng Wudang's face with his foot. Feng Wudang, look at yourself in the mirror. How dare you to be so presumptuous in front of senior brother Feng? You're seeking your own death. One of the young men of the Divine Virtual Academy scoffed and said. There were around 20 people of the Divine Virtual Academy who came to the Dragon Vein. The person in the lead was the one who spoke. He was everyone else's senior, and his martial ability was the best. However, he still had to obey Feng Hui's commands even when he was the one in charge. I want to chop off his ears first. Feng Hui smiled coldly and said. The young man nodded and smiled. How merciful you are, senior brother Feng. Chapter 897 Take Advantage of Others. 3. Feng Hui pulled out a dagger by his waist. He grabbed Feng Wudang's hair and swung his dagger beside Feng Wudang's ear. Should I cut off your left ear or right ear? Feng Hui laughed. He did not even bother with the disciples of the Supreme Academy at the side. Fine, I will chop off both of your ears as a lesson to learn for you. You should be thankful that I'm only going to cut your ears and not take your life. Feng Hui sneered and said. Feng Wudang narrowed his eyes and clenched his fists that were by his body. A disciple of the Divine Virtual Academy laughed and said, Senior brother Feng, you are still so kind. People like him should be killed without mercy. He should bow and thank you for your mercy to spare his life today. You're taking advantage of our tolerance. One of the Supreme Academy disciples could not tolerate it anymore. He pulled out his sword and pointed at Feng Hui. Feng Hui. Let go of senior brother Feng. Feng Hui raised his brows slightly. His eyes were full of sarcasm as he saw the Supreme Academy disciple pulling his sword out. Li Xiu and the rest were shocked and they saw the situation. Junior brother Luo, don't be impulsive. Feng Hui sneered. It seems like the disciples of the Supreme Academy do not understand the rules. How dare you point a sword at me? He then scoffed and commanded. Get that bastard over here now. The Divine Virtual Academy disciples immediately rushed forward and surrounded junior brother Luo. Gu Tianhe and the rest panicked and wanted to stop them. However, what? It seems like even the ancient Feng clan are not seen as anything in the eyes of the Supreme Academy people now. Feng Hui scoffed. Don't. Li Xiu immediately blocked Gu Tianhe and the rest. They could not offend Feng Hui based on his identity. Normal disciples like them could not afford to provoke the ancient Feng clan. If they displeased Feng Hui, the entire Supreme Academy would have to suffer the consequence with them. Feng Hui sneered and looked at everything happening in front of him. He then raised his leg and kicked Feng Wudang. He walked towards junior brother Luo, who was surrounded by people of the Divine Virtual Academy, and left Feng Wudang alone. How dare you point a sword at me? Feng Hui raised his chin arrogantly as he stared at junior brother Luo, whose face was pale. Junior brother Luo's expression froze. Feng Hui, you should not be so reckless even if you are from the ancient Feng clan. Oh. Feng Hui lifted his brows slightly and scoffed. Suddenly, he kicked junior brother Luo's stomach in the next instant. Junior brother Luo took a few steps back as a result of the kick. He was about to raise his sword and kill the bastard instinctively. However, before he could get close, the other disciples of the Divine Virtual Academy dashed towards him and snatched his sword away. He was then pressed onto the ground. Reckless. Yes, I'm reckless. But what can you do to me? A trace of malice appeared in Feng Hui's eyes as junior brother Luo was restrained on the ground. He took a step forward slowly and stepped on junior brother Luo's fingers with one leg. Chapter 898 Take Advantage of Others. 4. Feng Hui used all his strength to step on junior brother Luo's fingers, and he rotated his heel. The breaking sounds of bones were heard immediately. Junior brother Luo's fingers were totally crushed under Feng Hui's foot. Ah! A horrifying scream exploded out of his mouth as his bones were crushed. The Supreme Academy students' faces turned pale upon hearing the wretched scream. How dare you point your sword at me? Who do you think you are? Feng Hui scoffed and took a step back. His eyes were filled with a cruel smile as he stared at the bloody hand that was stamped by him. Pull the idiot up. The disciples of the Divine Virtual Academy immediately pulled junior brother Luo up from the ground. Do you still want to be a hero? Look at yourself. How come you stopped attacking me now? A merciless smile appeared on Feng Hui's face as junior brother Luo was pulled up from the ground. Read latest chapters at List Novel. Before junior brother Luo could say anything, Feng Hui stabbed junior brother Luo's left shoulder with the dagger in his hand. Screams rang in the air. However, Feng Hui's face was filled with a distorted and crazy smile. He slowly twisted the dagger in his hand. The blade that was in the wound grounded all the flesh. A large amount of blood flushed out of junior brother's wound. He twitched under the intense pain that was able to tear him apart. Feng Hui enjoyed the pain and suffering on junior brother Luo's face. He pulled out his dagger and looked at the pale students of the Supreme Academy standing not far away. His face was full of defiance and arrogance. So pathetic. How dare you threaten me, bastard? None of your senior and junior brothers will dare to make any sound even if I tortured you to death today. Do you believe that? Feng Hui stared at junior brother Luo aggressively. At the next second, he stabbed the dagger into junior brother Luo's other shoulder. He twisted the dagger to increase the pain. Ah! The wretched scream pierced through everyone's ears. The students of the Supreme Academy were all pale as they witnessed junior brother Luo being tortured by Feng Hui mercilessly. What a bastard! Gu Tian's eyes were red as he shouted in rage. He could not control himself and was about to kill Feng Hui. However, how would Li Xiu allow him to be so reckless and impulsive? He stepped forward and stopped Gu Tianhe. Junior brother Gu. He's from the ancient Feng family clan. We can't afford to offend him, Li Xiu frowned and said. Gu Tianhe clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Feng Hui laughed furiously upon hearing his words. He suddenly pulled out the dagger and stabbed and sliced junior brother Luo's abdomen. Junior brother Luo's abdomen was sliced open, and a large amount of blood flushed out instantly. His internal organs were also dangling outside his stomach as they flowed out together with the blood. Feng Hui grabbed junior brother Luo's hair and forced him to turn his head to look at the students of the Supreme Academy. Watch this for yourself clearly. People from the Supreme Academy are just a group of ants under the ancient Feng family clan. What can they do to me even if I kill you now? Junior brother Luo was twitching under the pain, and his eyes were rolled back. Feng Hui admired the moment before death arrived. A smile appeared by his lips as he placed the dagger on junior brother Luo's neck. Chapter 899 It's you whom I am hitting. 3. Let him go. Feng Wudong was pinned to the ground and in such pain that he could not move. He tried his best to clamber off the ground and stop everything. Let him go. Feng Hui swept a glance at Feng Wudong and said smilingly. No problem. The next second, Feng Hui struck violently with the dagger in his hand. There was a sudden squelching noise as he chopped junior brother Luo's head off in front of everyone from the Supreme Academy. A large patch of fresh blood spurted like rain from the stump of his neck. Feng Wuya flung aside the head, throwing it at the feet of the people from the Supreme Academy. Let him go. Feng Wuya flicked his hands. The disciples from the Supreme Academy all smiled cruelly as they threw junior brother Luo's body in front of Feng Wudong. What's the matter? I always keep my word. Since I promised to let him go, I have let him go. Shouldn't you thank me for my benevolence? Feng Wuya laughed wildly as he looked with mocking eyes at Feng Wudong, who had collapsed to the ground. Next, I will keep my word and cut off your ears. Look, how benevolent I am. Feng Wuya walked towards Feng Wudong, his eyes filled with cruel amusement. Bastard! Gu Tianhe looked at junior brother Luo's head, which had rolled to his feet. He watched as Feng Wuya moved step by step closer to Feng Wudong. A violent rage swelled in his heart. With one move, he pushed aside Li Xiu who was blocking him, drew his sword, and charged at Feng Wuya. Junior brother Gu. Li Xiu was shocked. Although they abhorred Feng Wuya's actions, no matter how much they detested him, it was still impossible for them to fight Feng Wuya. Another one seeking death. Feng Wuya swept a cold look at the charging Gu Tianhe. I don't have time to deal with you right now. Men, capture this one. After I cut off this one's ears, I will teach him a lesson. With that, everyone from the Divine Virtual Academy blocked Gu Tian's path. No matter how powerful Gu Tianhe was, he could not overcome so many by himself. He had no chance of even getting close to Feng Wuya. In a moment, the disciples from the Divine Virtual Academy had severely injured Gu Tianhe. He was pressed to the ground, unable to move. Feng Wuya walked in front of Feng Wudong and lifted him out of the pool of blood. He raised his blood-stained dagger and patted Feng Wudong's ears. You should resign yourself to being a nobody. If you dare to offend me, even if you have 10 lives, it will not be enough for me to toy with. Feng Wuya laughed coldly. A cold gleam flashed across his eyes. The dagger in his hand suddenly pressed down, and it looked as if he was about to cut Feng Wudong's ears off. However, just as Feng Wuya struck, a figure suddenly flashed across everyone's eyes. Before they could recover their wits, the figure was already next to Feng Wuya. Before Feng Wuya could see the other person's face clearly, an enormous force suddenly arose from his stomach. Feng Wuya was instantly sent flying. The dagger in his hand clattered to the ground. All this happened so suddenly, and it was beyond anyone's expectations. Feng Wudong had thought that he would not be able to escape this disaster. He did not imagine that someone would rescue him. Chapter 900 It's you whom I am hitting, too. Feng Wuya was in pain. He clutched his stomach and stumbled backward while breathing heavily. Who hit me? Feng Wuya roared and looked around with his eyes glittering with a cold light. Feng Wuya looked around him, but there was no one in sight. It was as if he was hallucinating. No one had appeared, and no one had hit him. But Feng Wuya clearly had just been viciously punched. The disciples from the Divine Virtual Academy exchanged glances. Feng Wuya was just too weak. It was normal that he had not clearly seen what had happened. However, the Divine Virtual Academy disciples had clearly seen what had happened. A beautiful girl had appeared, swiftly struck a heavy blow at Feng Wuya, and then left. But the girl had moved too quickly. With Feng Wuya's abilities, he could not clearly see what had happened. Junior brother Feng, no one hit you. You are thinking too much. The leader of the disciples from the Divine Virtual Academy hurriedly smiled and said. If he told the truth, Feng Wuya would definitely make them capture the girl. They could not defy Feng Wuya's order, but if they obeyed and sent half their forces out to look for the girl, they would be short-handed. Just now, Feng Wuya had made a show of his authority in front of everyone from the Supreme Academy and then cruelly killed one of their people. If the Supreme Academy became enraged and flung caution aside to pit themselves against Feng Wuya, and if Feng Wuya was injured because of this, they would all be held accountable. No one hit me. Feng Wuya frowned deeply with a suspicious look. That's right, no one hit you. A few disciples of the Divine Virtual Academy nodded rapidly. Ha ha ha. But before Feng Wuya could speak again, Gu Tianhe, who was being pressed to the ground, burst out in wild laughter. He said excitedly, Feng Wuya, you're doomed. Our senior sister Yi is here. Although Feng Wuya had not seen the person clearly, Gu Tianhe had clearly seen that the figure who had flashed past was their senior sister Yi, Enchanting. What are you saying? Feng Wuya walked over to Gu Tianhe and punched his face. What senior sister Yi? Where is she? Ask her to come out. At that moment, everyone from the Supreme Academy looked more and more puzzled. The disciples from Supreme Academy that had come were all present. There was no senior sister Yi. Didn't you say that no one hit me? Feng Wuya turned to look at the people from the Divine Virtual Academy. When the leader of the Divine Virtual Academy's disciples saw that he could not conceal the truth anymore, he had no choice but to tell the truth. Oh, a dazzling beauty. When he heard what the leader said, Feng Wuya's lips curved into a smile. No wonder I sensed a mesmerizing scent. If you won't come out. Feng Wuya laughed coldly and clutched Gu Tian's throat. He looked about. I'll count to 3. If you don't come out, I'll kill him. After that, I will kill one person from the Supreme Academy every 15 minutes. Gu Tianhe gritted his teeth and glared at Feng Wuya. If not for the fact that the people from the Divine Virtual Academy were restricting his movements, he would disregard his own life and fight Feng Wuya to death. 3. Feng Wuya started the countdown. 2. 1.5. 1. With that, Feng Wuya tightened his grip. He clutched Gu Tian's throat and lifted him into the air. But at that moment, a snow-white figure flew over. Chapter 901 It's you whom I am hitting. 3. Sponsored content before everyone returned to their senses. Boom! An eruption sounded. Subsequently, Feng Wuya was flung out like a kite with a snapped string. Ow! Feng Wuya spat a mouthful of blood in midair. Junior brother Feng. Sponsored content. Noticing the situation, everyone from the Divine Virtual Academy could no longer care about Gu Tianhe and surged forward to catch Feng Wuya. I heard that you're looking for me. Standing beside Gu Tianhe, Enchanting remarked flatly. Her long, jet-black hair swayed in the wind while her eyes were filled with nothing but indifference. After finishing her sentence, she looked at Feng Wuya coldly. A cold glint shone in her eyes. The lives of the people from the Supreme Academy had nothing to do with her originally, but no matter what, she somewhat had some relations with Gu Tianhe and Feng Wudong. In reality, Enchanting had not planned to poke her nose into this matter initially. However, she had some grudges with the Feng ancient clan. In the central mainland in her previous life, after the news that Enchanting possessed the heart of the demon god was exposed, she faced assassination attempts from many forces. The Feng ancient clan which Feng Wuya was in also participated in seizing her heart and used lethal attacks several times. Sponsored content. If it was anyone else, perhaps Enchanting would not enter this saga. However, since it was an enemy from her previous life, she naturally did not mind settling the scores with him. Others were afraid of the Feng ancient clan but not Enchanting. Even if she offended the Feng ancient clan, she could just let Ling Yan help her think of a way out. Ha ha. Feng Wuya stood up with the support of the Divine Virtual Academy disciples. Although he was in a rather miserable state, his burning eyes sized up Enchanting at this moment. Read latest chapters at list novel. Once he saw Enchanting's exquisite beauty, he nodded repeatedly and said, "Not bad. Truly not bad. Such a beauty is truly uncommon already." Feng Wuya self-professed that he had seen countless beauties before, but there were few who could compare to this young lady before him. The young man in the lead of the Divine Virtual Academy disciples was a little helpless upon hearing Feng Wuya's comment. Sponsored content. This fellow is already beaten up until like that, but his brain is still thinking about that kind of thing. Is this the legendary, unable to move upon seeing a beauty? Little beauty, do you know who I am? I am the grandson of the Feng ancient clan's grand elder. You have already committed a death crime by hitting me today. Your friends, including everyone in your clan, will lose their lives because of your disrespect today. Feng Wuya's avaricious eyes swept across Enchanting's body, and he laughed subsequently. However, you should be glad that you were born with such a good face. Since heaven gave you such a good face, I will give you a chance. Then, Feng Wuya looked at Enchanting increasingly frivolously. From now on, you will follow me and please me well. I can consider pardoning your clan from death and will only let them be slaves for eternity. How about that? Feng Wuya asked. A Supreme Academy disciple, Li Xiu, was surprised and had a confused look when he saw Enchanting, who suddenly appeared. This lady was indeed wearing the uniform of a Supreme Academy disciple, but he had no memory of her. Could it be that he missed her out during the roll call just now? While Li Xiu had his confusions, it was not the time to think about this issue right now. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Note: please download the sponsor's game to support us. Chapter 902. It's you whom I am hitting. For sponsored content. It was already a grave sin to hit Feng Wuya in public. Li Xiu immediately looked at Enchanting and shouted with a frown. You, come over. After hearing that, Enchanting looked at Li Xiu without any emotions. Don't you know that he is from the Feng ancient clan of the central mainland? How dare you touch him? Li Xiu was infuriated, and his brows were tightly furrowed. Although Feng Wuya was extremely despicable and Li Xiu, himself, also wanted to slaughter him to release his hatred, who would bear the consequences. Sponsored content. Once anything happened to Feng Wuya, it was without a doubt that the attacker would die. Not just so, even he and all the junior brothers and sisters present would have to face this frightening outcome, and the Supreme Academy might even be embroiled in it as well. What could they do by then? Could they let millions of people be buried together with one Feng Wuya? Hurry up and apologize to Brother Feng. Li Xiu frowned at Enchanting and shouted. Upon hearing Li Xiu, Feng Wuya, who was waiting for Enchanting's reply, snickered coldly immediately. Li Xiu, what are you? Apologize. Can just an apology solve the problem? You're so ridiculously naive. Uneasy, Li Xiu could only pile smiles on his face. Brother Feng, you are the bigger person. You possess the bloodline of the Feng clan. There's no need for you to lower your identity and fuss with these juniors. Sponsored content. Humph. Feng Wuya swept Li Xiu a disdainful look and scoffed. Li Xiu, I'm telling you this, if she doesn't agree, not just her but everyone present here will die an extremely tragic death. I want to chop off all your heads, bring them back to the central mainland, and hang them at the door of the Divine Virtual Academy. I'll let everyone know the outcome of offending my Feng ancient clan. Once Feng Wuya said that, everyone from the Supreme Academy was shaken, and Li Xiu's face turned pale instantly. However, at this very moment, in the group of Divine Virtual Academy disciples, 2 young disciples' eyes drifted to Enchanting. The expressions of those 2 people were a little strange. Once they saw Enchanting's face clearly, their eyes widened immediately and were filled with fear while their bodies trembled. Almost at the same time, the 2 young disciples exchanged a look and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Sponsored content. This lady was the insanely talented disciple from Supreme Academy a few batches ago, and her martial skills were unfathomable. Previously, the 2 of them found Gu Tianhe, Feng Wudong, and the rest and wanted to attack them initially, but perfected Gu Yun came into the picture subsequently. Yet ultimately, they personally witnessed this lady before them slaughter perfected Gu Yun right there and then with only 1 strike. That perfected Gu Yun was a divine arcane supremacy, and furthermore, his backing was the well-known Ling Yan. This lady even dared to kill Ling Yan's person. What else did she not dare to do? However, at this instant, Enchanting was mentally devising a plot to bring Feng Wudong and Gu Tianhe away from this place. Every student of the Divine Virtual Academy was extremely powerful. It was said that this mainland had a strong suppression on the martial realm of outsiders, and perhaps Enchanting still had means to deal with 1 or 2 people. But with so many of them joining forces, looking at you, it seems that you're unwilling. Feng Wuya stared at Enchanting, who still had not given a reply. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Note: please download the sponsor's game to support us. Chapter 903 It's You Whom I Am Hitting. 5. Sponsored content. Feng Wuya laughed coldly. No matter whether you agree or not, it's not for you to decide. Then, Feng Wuya told the group of Divine Virtual Academy disciples. You all, capture this slut for me immediately. Break her limbs if she resists. Just leave her with a last breath. After hearing Feng Wuya's words, the Divine Virtual Academy people nodded and walked towards Enchanting with great strides. Upon noticing the situation, there were no emotions on Enchanting's face, much less any signs of fear. Although Enchanting had not yet absorbed the inheritance of the Heavenly Demon, the divine power of the Heavenly Demon Pearl could still be used temporarily. If the power of the Heavenly Demon could be transferred out, she would not be able to defeat them, but she could flee this place alone without being caught by anyone. However, at this instant, 2 disciples from the Divine Virtual Academy suddenly rushed out and stopped the leader. Sponsored content. Senior brother, you cannot attack, the 2 disciples said frantically. Why? Why can't I attack? The leader of the Divine Virtual Academy disciples frowned. Senior brother, this lady is a Supreme Academy student from a few batches ago and was an insanely talented student, that Divine Virtual Academy disciple explained hurriedly. So what if she was an insanely talented disciple from a few batches ago? The leader scoffed coldly and did not put it to heart. So many of them were here. Would they still be afraid of an insanely talented disciple from the Supreme Academy? Senior brother, do you know perfected Gu Yun? That disciple said. Of course I do. Ling Yan's teacher, a powerful figure at the divine arcane supremacy level. The leader nodded. Sponsored content. Immediately, those 2 Divine Virtual Academy disciples exchanged a look and said rather bitterly, this lady killed perfected Gu Yun with just 1 strike. What did you say? The moment he finished his sentence, everyone from Divine Virtual Academy and Supreme Academy was filled with shock. They were naturally aware of perfected Gu Yun's skills. But what was unbelievable to them was that this lady actually killed perfected Gu Yun, a divine arcane supremacy, with 1 strike. Since the spirit energy on this mainland was insufficient, perfected Gu Yun's martial realm was severely suppressed as a divine arcane supremacy. Despite so, he was not someone they could contend against. Read more new novels on List Novel. To be able to kill perfected Gu Yun with one strike, didn't that mean in the central mainland, this lady was even more powerful than perfected Gu Yun? Sponsored content to them, perfected Gu Yun was already a highly divine arcane supremacy, yet this lady could kill him with a strike. What kind of existence was this lady? A divine arcane supremacy at her peak, or a realm above the arcane supremacy, a heavenly venerate? Regardless of whether she was a heavenly venerate or a divine arcane supremacy at her peak, she was considered an extremely powerful figure in the central mainland, especially if she was a heavenly venerate. A saying once circulated in the central mainland: anyone beneath a venerate was nothing but an ant. In the central mainland, a virtual arcane supremacy was not anything, as there was still a divine arcane supremacy above it. But above the divine arcane supremacy, there was still the heavenly venerate. It was already extremely difficult for cultivators to enter the heavenly venerate realm. To many, a heavenly venerate represented an unparalleled figure and was a legend. At this instant, the Supreme Academy side watched on agape as well. 3 batches before, what kind of concept was that? Senior brother Li Xiu, this is Yi Qingtang, senior sister Yi. She is 3 batches before us. Feng Wudong struggled up and looked at Li Xiu and the rest. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Note: please download the sponsors game to support us. Chapter 904. It's you whom I am hitting. 6, that's right. Senior sister Yi has some grudges with perfected Gu Yun. She killed him with one strike and saved our lives. Gu Tianhe nodded in agreement. Sponsored content. Older by how many batches? 3 batches. Li Xiu was astonished. Junior brother Feng. Junior brother Gu, do you all know how many years there are in a batch? The two of them were taken aback by the question and shook their heads. I'm not too clear. The two of them had only entered the Supreme Academy to cultivate for around 10 years. To Supreme Academy, these 10+ years were already considered short. Do you all know how old Supreme Academy's chief disciple, senior brother Long Qingyu, is this year? Li Xiu asked with a complicated expression. He should be around 200 years old, Gu Tianhe said instinctively. You said she is from 3 batches above. In that case, she is at least 600 years old. Li Xiu asked, alarmed. Sponsored content. 600 years old. Everyone was astonished to hear that. This young, beautiful lady is actually 600 years old. Everyone knew that once one's martial cultivation reached the arcane supremacy realm, the speed of their aging would slow down tremendously. Upon reaching the heavenly venerate realm, one could completely remain young and maintain their youthful appearance if there was a need. What a joke. The leader of the Divine Virtual Academy disciples shouted coldly. You all said that she killed perfected Gu Yun. Do you all think that I'm a kid who is so easily fooled? If that's the case, what evidence do you all have? Although the 2 Divine Virtual Academy disciples said the same thing, the young leader did not believe them so easily. Evidence? Feng Wudong looked at Gu Tianhe, and his eyes flickered. Show them the evidence. Sponsored content. Gu Tianhe nodded and subsequently retrieved a skull from his space ring. The eyes on that skull were still wide open in fury and did not rest in peace. If he was not perfected Gu Yun, who else could it be? SSSSS, after seeing perfected Gu Yun's head, everyone from both Supreme Academy and Divine Virtual Academy gasped. The head in Gu Tian's hand was none other than perfected Gu Yun's head. This. Sponsored content. The leader of the Divine Virtual Academy disciples was shaken when he looked at perfected Gu Yun's skull. Senior brother. 3 batches ago. Supreme Academy seemed to have really produced a heavenly venerate, a Divine Virtual Academy disciple said cautiously at that moment. After hearing the conversation between the Divine Virtual Academy and Supreme Academy, Enchanting, as the center of the discussion, was confused. Previously, she had already planned to use the Heavenly Demon Pearl's divine power to escape. Who would have thought that those 2 Divine Virtual Academy disciples would actually jump out to say that she killed perfected Gu Yun, Ling Yan? Could it be that this is also in your scheme? For some reason, Yi Qingtang immediately thought of Ling Yan. If she guessed correctly, those 2 Divine Virtual Academy disciples who hid in the dark happened to be there and witnessed her killing perfected Gu Yun because of Ling Yan's scheme. Since she already had a pretty good idea of the situation, she knew how she should settle this matter already. You are the imp of the Phone Clan. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Note: please download the sponsor's game to support us. Chapter 905. It's you whom I am hitting. 7. Sponsored content. Yi Qingtang looked at Feng Wuya and shouted coldly. You're so young, yet you dare to be so impudent to me, a heavenly venerate. Let's not talk about you. Even the high-level powerful figures in your Phone clan do not dare to be so impudent when they see me. Yi Qingtang's words completely stunned everyone from the Divine Virtual Academy. She self-claimed to be a heavenly venerate. In the central mainland, even a powerful figure at the peak of the divine arcane supremacy did not dare to call himself a heavenly venerate, as such a title was only reserved for those in the heavenly venerate realm. Then, Feng Wuya looked at perfected Gu Yun's head and looked at Yi Qingtang. For some reason, fear arose within him as well. But under everyone's watch, that slight fear was subsequently suppressed as he kept a cold expression. So what if you're a venerate? My Feng ancient clan has several heavenly venerates too. Oh. Yi Qingtang snickered. Do you have any heavenly venerates by your side to protect you right now then? Sponsored content. Seeing that a murderous intent arose in Yi Qingtang's eyes, Feng Wuya was shaken and immediately ordered the Divine Virtual Academy disciples. Quick! Kill her. Even if she's a heavenly venerate, there's nothing to be afraid of. There isn't enough spirit energy here, and her skills are severely repressed. While that was the case, no one from the Divine Virtual Academy dared to move. The intimidation effect of the heavenly venerate title was already sufficient. Let's not talk. Let's not talk about how her skills are repressed. Even if she remains at the same spot, do not retaliate and let us attack as we wish. I don't dare to either, a Divine Virtual Academy disciple mumbled. That's right. A heavenly venerate has powerful connections. If we kill a heavenly venerate here, once we return to the central mainland, many heavenly venerates will definitely be after our lives. A heavenly venerate's friends should all be heavenly venerates. Look at how beautiful she is. If there are holy venerates courting her or backing her, holy venerate, at the mention of the holy venerate, everyone's faces paled. Before a holy venerate, even heavenly venerates were no different from ants. Sponsored content. Hurry, move it. Feng Wuya hollered furiously. However, no one listened to Feng Wuya this time. They could do anything that Feng Wuya ordered them to but to kill a heavenly venerate. What joke was this? No matter how courageous they were, they did not dare to. Junior, whoever dares to act rashly will have their souls banished to the underworld. Yi Qingtang swept a look across the Divine Virtual Academy students. Whoever whom Yi Qingtang looked at immediately lowered their heads, not daring to make eye contact with her. Sponsored content. Heavenly Heavenly Venerate, not just Feng Wudong and Gu Tianhe, but everyone from the Supreme Academy including Li Xiu was completely stunned. It was also to say that this senior sister Yi once cultivated in the Supreme Academy 600 years ago. They actually met an insanely talented leveled senior sister from 600 years ago in the dragon vein. At the thought of that, Li Xiu felt goosebumps. How could he have shouted at this senior sister Yi just now? Senior sister Yi. Li Xiu immediately knelt on a knee and said hurriedly, Senior sister Yi, I did not know of your identity just now. Please pardon me. Yi Qingtang waved a hand. I will not fuss over such matters with you juniors. No matter what, you all are my junior brothers and sisters. Thank you, senior sister Yi. Li Xiu rose slowly, and his racing heart finally settled down a little. You are Li Xiu, Yi Qingtang said while looking at Li Xiu. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Note: please download the sponsor's game to support us. Chapter 906 It's You Whom I Am Hitting. 7. Sponsored content. Yes. Li Xiu nodded repeatedly. Good. Watch those Divine Virtual Academy disciples properly. Whoever dares to move, you can just beat them to death, Yi Qingtang said. Rest assured, senior sister Yi. Li Xiu agreed hastily without daring to have any objections. Repeat what I said again, Yi Qingtang said. Whoever from the Divine Virtual Academy dares to move, we will beat them to death. Li Xiu nimbly repeated. The Divine Virtual Academy students were taken aback. There was no need to repeat right. They did not intend to move either. Swoosh. Yi Qingtang used the powers of the Heavenly Demon Pearl and disappeared from the ground in a flash. Sponsored content. The divine powers of the Heavenly Demon Pearl surged into the sky. The sudden eruption allowed Yi Qingtang's speed to increase by multiple folds. Even the Divine Virtual Academy and Supreme Academy disciples could not see Yi Qingtang's shadow with their naked eyes. She truly is a heavenly venerate. Even if her martial realm is majorly restricted on this mainland, her speed is truly frightening. Is she still human? The leader of the Divine Virtual Academy disciples was devoid of color. Fortunately, he did not attack that heavenly venerate at once just now. Otherwise, he would have died a wrong death. In the next second, Yi Qingtang appeared again but beside Feng Wuya this time. You dare to touch me. Even if you are a heavenly venerate, my Feng ancient clan is not what you can offend. Feng Wuya looked at Yi Qingtang, who was just a short distance away from himself. Fear ultimately appeared on his face. Ever since he was born, no one ever had the thought to kill him. Currently, the Divine Virtual Academy disciples did not dare to attack Yi Qingtang at all, and he no longer acted in an imposing manner as before. Little kid, how dare you be so disrespectful to me? You are already a dead person. A cold glint shone in Yi Qingtang's eyes. Lending the divine power of the Heavenly Demon Pearl, she condensed an extremely horrifying might in her hand and struck Feng Wuya instantly. Sponsored content. Just the air pressure from the palm attack was as sharp as daggers. Feng Wuya instinctively blocked the attack with his hands, but his entire left arm was shredded into pieces by the wind. Ah! A shrill cry escaped from Feng Wuya's mouth. Immediately, Feng Wuya withstood the excruciating pain and fled ahead. Where do you think you're escaping to? Yi Qingtang shouted coldly. You have a death wish. Feng Wuya hollered in anger and took out a pure golden-colored talisman. After taking out that talisman, there was a shocking change in Feng Wuya's manner instantly. The virtual image of a white-haired elderly actually appeared behind Feng Wuya. Sponsored content: The Grand Elder of the Phone Clan. Everyone from Divine Virtual Academy and Supreme Academy was left agape when they saw the virtual image. The face of the virtual image was none other than the Grand Elder of the Phone Clan, a powerful heavenly venerate. "Grandfather, save me." Feng Wuya saw the figure of that white-haired elderly and wailed hurriedly. Humph. The virtual image let out a heavy scoff. With just this one sound, everyone at the scene was dizzy. Dozens of disciples paled and spat out blood. Apart from Yi Qingtang, no one was spared. Even Yi Qingtang's mind was a little adrift as well. This was merely the virtual image of a heavenly venerate, and his scoff possessed such might. If the Grand Elder of the Phone Clan was present, everyone present would probably die instantly. Although the might of that scoff was unparalleled, Yi Qingtang possessed the heavenly demon pearl and did not have anything to fear. A streak of heavenly demon aura surged out from Yi Qingtang's body and dispersed the might of that scoff instantly. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Note: please download the sponsors game to support us. Chapter 907. It's you whom I am hitting. 8. Oh right, Ling Yan wanted me to tell you. There is his blood of karma on the heavenly demon pearl. If you meet with danger, you can use the heavenly demon pearl. The little white tiger suddenly crawled out of Yi Qingtang's arms. Sponsored content: Blood of Karma. Yi Qingtang was shocked. Every drop of the blood of karma was extremely important to Ling Yan. There were two types of blood in Ling Yan's body. The first was the ordinary blood while the second was the blood of karma. The virtual image shot a deadly glare at Yi Qingtang. This girl could actually withstand his aura. "Grandfather, quickly kill her." Feng Wuya shouted in panic. Everyone here had already thrown up blood, but not this woman. "Tear the talisman." "It is sealed with one strike from me," the virtual image said. Sponsored content. Upon hearing the virtual image's words, Feng Wuya nodded repeatedly. One strike from a heavenly venerate. Everyone was astonished. That golden talisman was definitely some kind of treasure that could seal a powerful strike of a heavenly venerate. If that was really the case, the sealed strike was not in any way weakened because it was already sealed a long time ago and would not be affected by the spirit energy on this mainland. That would be a true strike of a heavenly venerate. Even if Yi Qingtang was also a heavenly venerate, her martial realm was repressed currently, and it was impossible for her to withstand a strike from a heavenly venerate. Even if you are a heavenly venerate, you will die without a doubt after sustaining one strike from my grandfather. Feng Wuya laughed coldly, as though he had already forgotten about the pain in his broken left arm, and he immediately tore up the golden talisman. Just as the golden talisman was torn apart, the weather changed drastically, and the ground tremored. It was as though heaven and earth were reversed in that instant. Sponsored content. Everyone's bodies were about to be ripped into pieces. There was agony and terror in the deepest corners of their hearts. Swoosh. In a flash, a bolt of light shot towards Yi Qingtang. No one could see the color or trace of this bolt of light. It was as if eternity penetrated the breath of destruction into this mainland. Nevertheless, Yi Qingtang's expression remained the same in the face of a strike from a heavenly venerate. She immediately transferred out all of the power of the heavenly demon pearl. Roar! At that moment, a black virtual image seemed to descend from the sky with the power of karma surrounding the virtual image. Swiftly, the black virtual image and the bolt of light clashed. Sponsored content. However, what was unbelievable was that the strike from the heavenly venerate and that black virtual image disappeared at the same time, and no one knew where they went. Karma diversion. The elderly's eyes flickered continuously as he stared at Enchanting. This lady actually knew about the power of karma and used karma diversion to divert the power of his strike away. At the same time, in a certain corner of the dragon vein, Ling Yan stood beside the grave of the azure dragon and was surrounded by dozens of people. Ling Yan, you will die without a doubt today. I want to see who can save you. The powerful figures from the central mainland sneered. This Ling Yan is such a useless person, but he actually dared to come to this place alone and contend for the inheritance of the true dragon with us. Facing the encirclement of dozens of powerful figures, an unknown smile, however, hung on Ling Yan's lips. There's no hurry to take my life. But before that, I wish to play a game with you all. Game. A certain powerful figure was dumbfounded. Presently, Ling Yan was already doomed to die, but he still had the mood to play a game with them. Was he feigning calmness or did he still have a hidden trump card? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Note: please download the sponsor's game to support us. Chapter 908 Demon-like Intelligence 1. This game is extremely simple. Let's guess who will die first, you or me. Ling Yan said with a smile. Sponsored content: cut the crap with him. Kill. Ling Yan was known to have demon-like intelligence. Although they had no idea what other cards Ling Yan had in his hand, they were a little restless when they faced such an intelligent person. Just in case anything happened, they had to kill Ling Yan in the fastest speed possible in order for their minds to be at ease. There are too many people that want my life. It's a pity that they always die before me. Ling Yan sighed softly. He turned a blind eye to the masses who surged towards him. He seemed completely relaxed, and no one could make sense of his calm composure. Swoosh. Sponsored content. At the same time, a bolt of light appeared from somewhere and penetrated through the dozens of people present. That bolt of light was extremely blinding, and no one could withstand its lethality. Heavenly. Heavenly Venerate. After sensing the power of this bolt of light, everyone widened their eyes in disbelief. Boom! Boom! In the next second, the bodies of the dozens of people turned into ashes from the bolt of light. Sponsored content. Witnessing the scene before him, Ling Yan's lips curled up slightly into a devilish smile. Such was the karma diversion. At this instant, the dozens of powerful figures, who initially besieged Ling Yan, were hit by the strike from the Heavenly Venerate due to the karma diversion. They turned into ashes and disappeared along with the wind. Anyone beneath a Heavenly Venerate is an ant, is it? Ling Yan stood with his hands behind him. His black hair danced in the wind as he looked up slowly with a faint smile. What about a Heavenly Venerate? At your peak, you were the demon god. Suddenly, the little azure dragon walked out from behind and spoke to Ling Yan. Demon god, you say? Ling Yan slowly looked away and shook his head gently. The so-called demon god had already become past tense. If possible, he hoped to become the legendary Divine Emperor in this lifetime and take a look at that even further, higher, and more mysterious world. Sponsored content. Ling Yan, you added the karma diversion on the Heavenly Demon Pearl. This way, the strike of the Heavenly Venerate which Enchanting bore will become your power boost. Not only will this resolve Enchanting's crisis, but it even allowed you to obtain the inheritance of the true dragon. It truly is hitting two birds with one stone. The little azure dragon looked at Ling Yan and noted meaningfully. Hitting two birds with one stone, you say? Ling Yan smiled without saying much. However, I'm really curious about how you knew that Enchanting would definitely be hit by a strike of a Heavenly Venerate. The little azure dragon was increasingly confused as it looked at Ling Yan. Before waiting for Ling Yan to speak, the little azure dragon suddenly said, "Don't say it yet. Let me take a guess. The Supreme Academy and Divine Virtual Academy are mortal enemies from the start. This time, a noble heir from the Feng ancient clan of the Central Mainland followed the team from the Divine Virtual Academy. Given his personality, he would definitely clash with the Supreme Academy, while the people from the Supreme Academy definitely would not dare to attack him because of his identity, and given Miss Ye's character, she would not watch from a side. But you lured the two Divine Virtual Academy disciples to the scene where Enchanting killed perfected Gu Yun with a strike." The little azure dragon paused for a while and continued. "As long as those two disciples tell the other Divine Virtual Academy disciples about the incident, the Divine Virtual Academy disciples would definitely be fearful or may treat Enchanting as a heavenly venerate. As such, Enchanting would have the opportunity to attack that noble." The more the little azure dragon spoke, the more it felt that its speculation was correct. "If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Note: please download the sponsor's game to support us. Chapter 909 Demon-like Intelligence 2. Although that noble's skills are not powerful, as a noble heir of the Feng clan, he definitely had the means to protect his life and launch a deadly strike. In that case, your karma diversion was put to use, where you made use of the deadly strike from the noble heir of the Feng clan to help you obtain the inheritance of the true dragon. Am I right?" The little azure dragon looked at Ling Yan with burning eyes. The more it speculated, the more it was overcome with emotion. Sponsored content: how intelligent is this Ling Yan exactly? He really possessed a demon-like intelligence. "You are very smart too," Ling Yan said with a smile. Ling Yan, oh Ling Yan. From the moment you asked Miss Yi to deal with perfected Gu Yun, you have already schemed everything. You are in control of the entire situation, have an incredible foresight, and are extremely shrewd. TSK, you have my admiration." The little azure dragon remarked sincerely. Probably no one in this world could fully grasp Ling Yan's plan. However, Ling Yan, no matter how intelligent you are, I can guess of whatever you think of as well. The little azure dragon spoke once again before Ling Yan could speak. Sponsored content: MHM. Ling Yan nodded and said, "But it's a pity that you missed out some things." The little azure dragon was alarmed when it heard what Ling Yan said and immediately shook its head. "Missed out some things? How can it be? How would I miss anything out?" Ling Yan looked at the little azure dragon and chuckled. "In your opinion, what would the Jiang clan do when I helped Miss Yi to teach Yu, the granddaughter of the domain master Jiang Duantian, a lesson?" Although the little azure dragon did not know why Ling Yan suddenly mentioned this, it still replied, "I'm afraid you will be in great danger. Given your martial skills cultivation, since that's the case, what will happen if the Feng clan and the Jiang family fought?" Ling Yan questioned again. Sponsored content: the Jiang family and the Feng clan. The little azure dragon was a little puzzled. The two ancient clans are extremely powerful. Although there are some minor conflicts usually, how could such strong ancient forces start a war for no reason? If someone from the Jiang family killed the grandson of the Feng ancient clan's grand elder, what would happen? Ling Yan smiled. Almost instinctively, the little azure dragon replied hurriedly. "Do I still need to say? Of course they would get to the bottom of it. But is that possible? That noble heir will die in Enchanting's hands, wouldn't he? What has this got to do with the Jiang family? But who would know that Miss Yi obtained the heavenly demon pearl?" Ling Yan's lips tugged up slightly. As a smile bloomed on his face, his expression appeared a little more detached. "You..." The little azure dragon stared at Ling Yan in shock. Not only did you add the power of the karma diversion on the heavenly demon pearl, but there's also the interfering aura from the karma. Sponsored content, that's right. Ling Yan nodded slightly and said. That Grand Elder of the Feng clan left a streak of his spiritual power on his grandson. Once something happens to his grandson, the spiritual power would resurrect. If he sees that a lady with the heavenly demon bloodline killed his grandson, how do you think the Grand Elder of the Feng clan would think? The little azure dragon narrowed its eyes and looked at Ling Yan. If that's the case, the Grand Elder of the Feng clan would definitely think that the murderer of his grandson is from the Jiang family, because in the entire central mainland, only the Jiang family possesses the heavenly demon bloodline. Since you interacted with that Yi Yu previously, you used the power of karma to absorb the aura of her bloodline and transferred it to the heavenly demon Pearly with the power of your karma diversion. So, no matter what, the Grand Elder of the Feng clan will definitely believe that it was a member of the Jiang family who killed his grandson. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Note: please download the sponsors game to support us. Ling Yan's hair swayed gently as he looked down with a faint smile without saying anything. However, Ling Yan, that Grand Elder should have seen Yi Qingtang's face. Will your plan really work? The little azure dragon was rather confused again. To kill perfected Gu Yun with one strike and still be alive after a venerate appeared, what do you think such a person's martial realm should be? Ling Yan asked. At least a heavenly venerate. The little azure dragon replied. What about Miss Yi? Ling Yan asked. Yi Qingtang. Just an ordinary yin-yang perfected lord. The little azure dragon answered honestly. The moment the little azure dragon spoke, a flash of light ran in his head instantly. It looked at Ling Yan with newfound realization and exclaimed. I understand now. The Divine Virtual Academy students would insist that it's not that they did not protect the Feng clan noble but that the incomer was a heavenly venerate. Since that's the case, how could an ordinary yin-yang perfected lord kill a Feng clan noble, who had the protection of many powerful Divine Virtual Academy disciples? Thus, even if Yi Qingtang's luck was extremely bad and she is found by the Grand Elder of the Feng clan, he would not believe that his grandson was killed by her. Instead, he would feel that someone intentionally disguised into her appearance and wanted to push the blame to Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang's true skills happened to be able to confuse the Grand Elder's judgments. Everyone would insist that a heavenly venerate killed Feng Wuya. Thus, in the eyes of the Grand Elder, Yi Qingtang, a yin-yang perfected lord, would definitely not be the murderer. Even if the Grand Elder of the Feng clan saw Yi Qingtang's face previously, he definitely would not believe that she was the one who did it. After all, the martial realms did not match at all. How could a young girl at the yin-yang perfected lord realm kill Feng Wuya, who was protected by the Divine Virtual Academy disciples? Furthermore, the Feng clan had always been suspicious and would naturally overcomplicate Feng Wuya's murder. Fraudulence, disguising of identity. The Feng clan would probably have such speculations. The little azure dragon looked at Ling Yan in shock. This person was truly meticulous in his actions, and there was no flaw to be spoken of. Every step in his scheme was a dead end with no way out for others. Ling Yan, if I guessed correctly, you want the Feng clan to attack the Jiang family and not for yourself. There's completely no need for you to provoke the Jiang family. You must have done so for Yi Qingtang. The little azure dragon looked at Ling Yan meaningfully. The Jiang family and Ling Yan did not have many relations, and Ling Yan did not need to deal with the Jiang family at all. Rather, Yi Yu and Yi Qingtang were mortal enemies, but Yi Yu became the granddaughter of the domain master, Jiang Duantian. As such, if Yi Qingtang headed to the central mainland, she would be in critical danger anytime. The little azure dragon could ascertain that the true reason Ling Yan schemed against the Jiang family and drew such a huge enemy to the Feng clan was to protect Yi Qingtang. Miss Yi, you say? An unnamed coldness emerged in Ling Yan's eyes. I will let anyone who has evil designs on Miss Yi have a taste of extreme misery like that of in hell. TSK. Are you still the Ling Yan I know? After hearing what Ling Yan said, the little azure dragon looked at him with an ambiguous expression. If that's the case, you can get to know me again. The icy expression in his eyes faded away, and he resumed his usual faint smile on his face. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.